All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do the study guide for Unit 8. Let us begin. Carl opens a savings account by depositing $12,000. After the first year, $3,000 is added, and after the second year, $2,500 more is added. Write an equation to model this situation. All right, here we go. So there's actually two ways you could write this equation. I'll show both of them. Both of them are fine. And then when we get to part C, I'll also show you how that makes a difference there. So one way you can write this is y equals 12,000 x. Now that money's been in the bank for 2 years, so x squared plus the $3,000, and that'll just be x to the first power, or x because that's been in the bank for only 1 year, plus the $2,500 you just added. Okay, that's one way you could write it. You can also write it with the 1 plus inside. So, for example, you could write 12,000 times 1 plus x squared plus 3,000 times 1 plus x plus the 2,500. Either one of those will work. All right? Then B. If the interest rate is 4.75%, how much is in the account after the second year? All right, so I'm going to take and make that into a decimal. So then my equation, and now if you use the first equation, you got to put the 1 in it, where if you wrote it the second one, the 1's already there. All right, so here we go. So y equals 12,000 times 1 plus the 0.0475 squared plus 3,000 times 1 plus 0.0475 plus the 2,500. Okay, so you'd need the 1 in there anyway. All right, so now that we need to figure out the answer to that question, so we're going to need to type this into our calculator. All right, so if we take the 12,000, now when I type it in, I'm just going to leave the plus sign off. I don't need to type the plus sign. All right, and we get $18,809.58. Okay, got to round it appropriately. So our answer here is $18,809.58. Again, don't forget you can go to the Moodle website and go to the calculator. The calculator is there for you to use if you need to use it. Okay? Part C. If there is $18,993 in the account after 2 years, how much is the interest rate? Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate both of these. So what we need to do is this is going to go into the Y2, if you remember. And I'm going to start with the first equation. I'm going to type that in and show that to you. So again, remember we go to our y equals and we type that in. I'm going to start just with the x squared. I'll show you what it looks like when I put the 1 in after this one. All right, so let's do it with just the x first. And then in the Y2, you got to put the amount of money that is in the account. Okay, now remember, we need to change our window. Okay, to make our window work, we're going to have to change the Y maximum. And the Y maximum needs to be bigger than 18,993. So I'm just going to change that to 20,000. All right, so back to the calculator. We got to go to the window. Okay, well, let's first do this. Okay, go ahead and do the zoom 6, puts it back to normal. You're not going to see anything. And then window, and we're going to go and change our Y maximum to 20,000. And graph. So here comes the parabola. And here comes the $18,993. So remember, there's two intersections. There's one here on the right, and there's one here on the left. We don't care about the one on the left because that's a negative. We can't have a negative. So we want this one on the right. So remember what we do now. We go second, trace, and we pick number 5, and then we hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, look where the arrow is. We've got 1.054. So we found out x is 1.054. However, that's not the complete answer because remember, we want to drop the 1 off and change that decimal to a percent. So the answer is 5.4%. Okay, we changed the decimal to a percent. So let me show you what it looks like with the purple one. Okay, so that was using the green, the first equation. Now I'm going to do it with the one in there already so you can see what it looks like. So again, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to type it all over again. So I've got the 12,000 times 1 plus x squared plus the 3,000 times 1 plus x plus the 2,500. So now the 1 is already in the problem. So I'm going to graph it. It's still going to give me my parabola. Here comes the line for the $18,993. Okay, now you can see that it looks a little bit different. But we do the same thing, second trace, and we pick number 5, intersect, and we hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice down here in the left-hand corner, it's the same except the 1 is no longer there. Because I put the 1 in the original problem, the 1 is not part of the answer. So you can see that it says x equals 0.054, and again, that's coming from that right there. So, and that is the same thing. So either way, you will get the right answer. You just have to know what you're looking for. All right? Again, rewind, rewatch it, whatever you need to do to remember. Here we go. Let's continue. And if you're watching this video and listening to me, chances are very good I am going to allow you to use your study guide while you're taking the test. Okay, so I would suggest having the whole study guide completed. Okay? So have your study guide completely done and ready for the test. All right, let's continue. So looking at the patterns, fill in the table as much as you can. So number of rows is the x. So like the first object that we have up there, there's only 1 row. And there's 1 triangle. Okay, the next figure has 2 rows. Remember, rows go left and right. So it has 2 rows. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. The next one has 1, 2, 3 rows, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 triangles. Okay, the next one has 4 rows, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 triangles. Okay, hopefully, excuse me, hopefully you can see the pattern. The next one obviously is 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows, 8 rows. But now look at the number of triangles. 1, 4, 9, 16. I hope you realize that that is a very specific pattern, okay? Think about it. 1, 4, 9, 16. That's the pattern of perfect squares. So the next one is 25, 36, 49, and 64, and so on. Okay, so now the next row. What's the difference between 1 and 4? That's 3. And then 5. And then 7. And then 9. And then 11. And then 13. And then 15. Okay, one more level. So in the next level, we have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, notice it took 2 levels in order to get to the same number. It's repeating. Okay, it's the same number at level 2. When it's the same number at level 2, you're going to use y equals ax squared. Again, 2 levels told me to go to x squared. If it was 3 levels, it would be x cubed, but let's just continue with this. So ax squared plus bx plus c. So now we're going to replace the x with the number of rows, and the y is going to be replaced with the number of triangles. Okay, so here we go. So, looking at the first shape, the first figure, we had 1 triangle and it was 1 row. So a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c. Okay, that was this one. Now the next one. 4 triangles equals a times 2 squared plus b times 2 plus c. And then the next one. 9 equals a times 3 squared plus b times 3 plus c. That's it. Because we have 3 letters that are unknown, a, b, and c, we need 3 equations. 3 unknowns, 3 equations. All right, so now what I can do is I can write a matrix. Well, let me rewrite this first of all right? Well, no, we can go from there. Let's go right into the matrix. So with the matrix, okay, first the 1, 4, and 9, that will be behind the equal sign. Okay, that's the 1, 4, and 9. Now, the other matrix right here in the middle is your A, B, C. Okay, the top row is 1, 1, 1. The middle row, 2 squared, 4, 2, 1. The third row, 3 squared, 9, 3, 1. All right, so now what we're going to do, we want to figure out what is A, B, and C. We want to come up with an equation that will give us this pattern. So, to the matrix on our calculator. So, here we go. So, matrix. Edit. Number 1. This is a 3 by 3. All right, so the top row was 1, 1, 1. The next row was 4, 2, 1. The next row is 9, 3, 1. Okay, back to the matrix. Back to edit. Number 2. That's a 3 by 1. All right, now there was 1 triangle in that one. The next one had 4. And then the next one had 9. All right. Second quit. Go back to your matrix. Pick A. Hit the inverse button. Remember, inverse button is that x to the negative 1. Go back to your matrix and pick B. Enter. All right, that's it. A is a 1, B is 0, and C is 0. So, A is 1, B is 0, C is 0. All right, so what does that mean? Let's turn the page. So the equation for this model is y equals 1 x squared. Now this part you don't need. I'm going to write it and then I'm going to erase it. You could write plus 0x plus 0. Okay, that's the B and the C, but you don't need that to be there. You only need the 1x squared. In fact, you don't even need the 1 in front of that. All right, so that is the equation that fits the pattern. So now what we do is we go to our calculator again. So we're going to answer these questions. How many does the 10th row have, the 15th row have, the 25th row? All right, so we're going to go and we're just going to type that into our y equals. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my x squared. I'm going to go to my table. Okay, and I'm going to go to 10. Okay, well, if you think about it, 10 squared is 100. So that if there are 10 rows, that shape has 100 little triangles. Okay, if it has 15 rows, it has 225 triangles. All right, and if you go to 25, $625 triangles. Now, for part D, you're going to go backwards. I'm giving you the number of triangles. We want to know how many rows does it have. So you got to go backwards. You got to look at the second column. All right, so I'm going to go to 361. Oh, it's right there. 361. That's 19 rows. Okay, 529 triangles. All right, ooh, that's on the same screen also. 529 triangles is right there. That would be 23 rows. Okay, 961 triangles. All right, so I'm going to need to scroll down some more and get to 961. Oh, there it is. 961. There are 30 rows. Okay, moving on. All right, change the equation into standard form. So this is where we're going to use the box. 2x minus 3, 3x plus 5. All right, multiply. 6x squared. Negative 9x, 10x, and negative 15. Remember, these two corners are like terms. They will get added together. So our answer is 6x squared plus 1x minus 15. All right, number 2. Okay, I'm going to start off with the box. Now, you will notice that there is a 2 in front. That's going to have to wait. We're going to do the x plus 3 and the x minus 7 first. Do not do anything with the 2 yet. You have to wait until we figure out what x plus 3 and x minus 7, what that is, what product that is. All right, here we go. Multiply. Again, these 2 boxes you will add. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put the 2 that's in front, and now I'm going to write what's inside the box into the parentheses. So I've got x squared minus 4x minus 21. Now I need to distribute, and our final answer is 2x squared minus 8x minus 42. So again, you got to wait until the end to multiply. All right? Number 3. So in number 3, we have x plus 6 squared. We do need the box for that. So multiply. Again, these 2 boxes get added together. And there's also a minus 5 on the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 5 from that one. So we can go right to our answer on this one. So our answer is x squared plus 12x. And then 36, take away the 5. Again, 36, take away the 5 is 31. Okay, now the next one, there's a little bit more to it. We do start off with the box. There's a negative 3 in front, so I'm going to do this first. And then there's also that plus 4 at the end. The plus 4 is the last thing that we do. All right, so let's take the 2x plus 1 and multiply it to itself. Now remember, this is called the vertex form of an equation. 1 and 2 were called the factored forms of the equation. So we're changing them both to standard form. All right, let's multiply. 4x squared, 2x, 2x, and 1. These 2 get added. All right, so what do we have? We have 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Now we distribute. Negative 12x squared minus 12x minus 3, and then we still have the plus 4. Again, the plus 4 is the last thing that we do. All right, hopefully I'm not making a mistake anywhere. So now we've got negative 12x squared minus 12x plus, and negative 3 plus 1, or minus 3 plus, minus 3 plus 4 is 1. And that is our final answer. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, factor each quadratic and find the solutions. All right, here we go. So this is not a special factoring one because the 28 is not a perfect square, so we're going to just have to factor normally. We do not need a box for this one. All right, so factors of 28. So let me go over here. Factors of 28 that add up to 11. Well, let's see. Well, I think it's 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 plus 7 is 11. So plus 4 and plus 7. So the solutions are negative 4 and negative 7. Now, remember, those are also called roots. zeros, x-intercepts, along with solutions and answers. All right? Number 2. Look at it carefully. I hope you recognize that it is a special factoring pattern. It's got a perfect square in the front. 9 is a perfect square. 49 is a perfect square. And there's a minus sign in the middle. All right, so when that occurs, all we need to do is in one we put a plus, and the other we put a minus, always. The square root of 9 is 3. So the first one is 3x. And then the square root of 49 is 7. And we're done. So what's the answer? Now remember, these are going to be fractions. We take negative 7. Remember, always the opposite. And then the number in front of x is your denominator. And then this one is positive 7 over 3. Okay, the next one. Believe it or not, this is a special factoring one too. If you notice, 16 is a perfect square and 36 is a perfect square. And we'll check the middle here after we're done. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 parentheses. Since the middle is a minus, these are both going to be minuses. If the end is a plus and the middle is a minus, they both are minus. That's a rule. All right, so let's do this. Square root of 16 is 4, so 4w. And the square root of 36 is 6. Okay, notice they are exactly the same, and it has to be a minus between them. Now, the 48, let's check. So if I do the outside and inside, 4 times 6, okay, or 4 times the minus 6 is negative 24. The negative 6 times the 4 is also negative 24. If I put negative 24 and negative 24 together, I get the middle term, negative 48. So we're all good. Okay, since these are identical, we only have one answer, and that would be positive 6 over 4. Simplify. Use your fraction on your calculator if you need to. That simplifies to 3 over 2. All right, moving on. This one is, there's no special pattern or anything. We're going to need to use the box for this one. Okay, 6x squared goes here, minus 35 goes here. The 1x goes on the side. We're going to multiply the 2 corners together. And 6 times negative 35 is negative 210. Okay, now this is a little bit higher than normal, but you have a calculator you can use to help find some factors. So we need to find 2 numbers that multiply to 210, but they add to 1. Okay, and so that would be 15 and negative 14. So if you don't know, you are just going to have to try some things, okay? So like, you're just going to have to start multiplying some numbers together until you finally get 2 factors that work. Okay? Here's a little trick. Let me show you this real quick. If you go to your y equals and you type in the negative 210, and then you divide it by x. Again, this is a little trick. Write this down on your sheet so you have this. Type it in, negative 210 divided by x. Go to your table, and what you see in your table, let me scroll back to 0, you see the factors. Okay, anything that's not a decimal is a nice factor. So for example, 1 and negative 210, 2 and negative 105, 3 and negative 70. So those are all factors. 5 and negative 42. 6 and negative 35, 7 and negative 30. Okay, and we found out that it was 15 and 14. Okay, well, there it is, 15 and negative 14. All right, if you don't want to use that trick, that's fine. All right, so in one box, I'm going to put 15x, and in the other one, I'm going to put negative 14x. All right, so what do the top 2 boxes share? Well, 6 and 14 share the number 2. So I'm going to pull out a 2 and an x. The bottom two, keeping the sign closest to the edge, which would be positive, they share a 5. So one of my factors is 2x plus 5. Now the left two boxes, what do 6 and 15 share? Okay, they share 3x. Now check it. What's 2 times 3? 6. So I know it's 3x. That's correct. What do negative 14 and negative 35 share? Keeping the sign closest to the edge, which would mean it's a negative. Well, 14 and 35 share the number 7. So 3x minus 7 is your other factor. All right, there's my factors. So my solutions are negative 5 over 2 and positive 7 over 3. All right. The next part is the quadratic formula to find each solution. You're going to need to have this memorized, okay? Let's see, let's write it down. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so let's begin. So A is 6, B is 30, and C is 36 because they are already equal to 0. Remember, it has to equal 0 in order for us to use the quadratic formula. All right, so let's go. Let's plug the numbers in. X equals, and remember to always use parentheses when replacing the number. So we've got negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 30 squared minus 4 times 6 times 36, all over 2 times 6. Now, when you type this into the calculator, I'm going to do it for number 1 only. After number 1, I'm just going to go right to the answers. Remember, we type in only what's inside the square root. Remember, that's called the discriminant. Okay, so we're going to type that into the calculator. Please use parentheses. Again, this is the discriminant. We got a positive answer. Positive, remember, means there's 2 solutions. So that becomes a 36. So now the parentheses all disappear. So now we've got negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 36 all over 12. Okay, the square root of 36, that's easy. That's 6. So 30 plus or minus 6 divided by 12. All right, we've got 2 answers. One answer is negative 30 plus 6 divided by 12, and the other answer is negative 30 minus 6 divided by 12. Now, if you type that in all at once, you do need to put grouping symbols around it on the calculator. All right, so let's see. Negative 30 plus 6 divided by 12, we get negative 2. Negative 30 minus 6 divided by 12, we get negative 3. So those are the solutions to number 1. All right, number 2. I'm going to just plug in numbers without talking and write the solutions down. Here I go. All right, number 3. Okay, number 4. All right, plug the numbers in very carefully. Use your calculator on those. All right, moving on. So, a ball is thrown from the roof of a building. Its height changes over time, of course, and is given by that equation, where t is the time in seconds after it was thrown and h is the height in feet. Give the height reached by the ball after. Now again, as I mentioned in the lesson, you can just plug the numbers in. For example, you can do -16 times 1 squared plus 78 times 1 plus 100. You can type that in and you will get an answer of 162 feet. Okay, you can do that on all of those. However, we are going to need to use our calculator for parts E, F, G, H, and I in a different way. So this is where we are going to need to change our X minimum, our X maximum, our Y minimum, and our Y maximum. But the first thing we want to do is we want to type this into our Y equals screen on the calculator. All right, so here we go. Now, we want to see the ball flying through the air. So our minimum X is going to be 0. Okay, let's do it on here first. So our minimum X is going to be 0. Our maximum X is going to be 10. Our minimum Y is going to be 0. Now, this ball is going to fly fairly high into the air. So we're just going to make a nice round number like 300. Because it might fly 300 feet in the air, we don't know. All right, so let's go and fix that on the calculator. So Y min 0, Y max 10, Y min 0, and Y max 300. Graph. There goes the ball. Very nice, nice picture. So you can see the ball go up and then come down again. Now, if you do the second trace, and again I showed this in the lesson, I'm sorry, just hit trace, not second trace, just hit trace. Okay, and then you want to see where the ball is at 1 second. So hit the number 1 and hit enter. There it is, 162 feet. The next one is 2 seconds, so just hit the 2 and hit enter. So it's 192 feet off the ground. Again, just hit the trace button and then type the number, enter. So now 4 seconds. So I'm just going to type the 4 and I'm going to hit enter. Now the ball is coming down. It's at 156 feet. Okay, how about 5.5 seconds? Well, 5.5. Enter. Now it's at 45 feet, getting closer and closer to the ground. Again, if you don't want to do it that way for that problem, that's fine. Just plug the numbers in. But for part E, we do need to know that. So what we're going to do here is, at what time is the ball 40 feet off the ground? We need to put that in our Y2. So go back to our calculator, and in our Y equals, go to Y2, and we're going to put 40. Now graph it. That's going to mark where the 40-foot line is. So this spot right here is the 40-foot line. So now we're going to go second, trace, intersect number 5, and now we're going to hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So there's our 40, and we look at X, and it says 5.55 seconds. All right, so 5.55 seconds. Again, you may want to write down all of these ways to pushing the button on your calculator, so if you forget, you have it. If I let you use the study guide, you can look at it. All right, now we're going to do 140 feet. So in Y2, I'm going to put 140 feet. All right, graph. There goes the ball. All right, now this is marking where 140 feet is. There are 2 answers, when the ball's going up and when the ball's coming down. So second trace, let's find one of them first. Okay, so I'm just going to do the one it picks first. So enter, enter, enter. And that's my first answer is at 4.29 seconds. Okay, there's another answer up there, so we have to go second trace again, intersect, but this time we need to move it closer to the other intersection. Okay, that's close enough. Enter, enter, enter. So 0.58 seconds. All right, what is the maximum height of the ball? So the maximum height, that would be the top of that, obviously. So we're going to go second trace. Maximum is number 4. And then enter. On the left side, now move it around to the right side. Again, make sure you're on the correct side before pushing the button. So I'm on the right side. I'm going to hit enter and enter again. And so the maximum height is 195.606 feet. So the maximum height is 195.06 feet. How many seconds? Okay, that's the X value. So it took 2.44 seconds, round properly, 2.44 seconds for the ball to reach the maximum height. How many seconds does it take to hit the ground? Okay, so when it hits the ground, it's going to be at 0. So I'm going to go ahead and move my little arrow here, or my ball. Whoops, let me hit trace again. Let's move the ball closer to the ground. Now I'm not going to get an exact reading here. Okay, so I'm getting close, and now I'm under the ground. So instead of doing it that way, let's get an estimate by looking at the table. Okay, well that doesn't help either. So let's try a new method. Here's something new, ladies and gentlemen. Hit second trace. You will see number 2. Number 2 is 0. If you do that, okay, to be on the left side, we need to be above the ground. So enter. Now I'm going to move the ball so that it's under the ground. And then I'm going to hit enter twice. And it's telling me exactly when it hits the ground. Again, that was second trace. That was number 2. Write that on your study guide. That was number 2. Okay, so whoops, I want to go back there. So the answer was 5.929 seconds. So again, all of this was done with the second trace and then the options that were underneath. Write those down. Okay, then we've got some trig. All right, you need to remember your trig ratios. Okay, remember sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Sa, ka, toa. So you have to first change your calculator to the right mode. All right? Change your calculator to the right mode. So we're going to need to go and hit the mode button on our calculator. And we need to have it in degree mode. Now it might already be in degree mode, that's fine, but it needs to be in degree mode. So otherwise you're not going to get the right answer. All right, so here we go. So the first thing is we're going to figure out, is it sine, cosine, or tangent? Okay, well here's my angle. This side is opposite, this side is adjacent. Remember, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So opposite and adjacent would be tangent. So I'm going to write tangent 30 degrees equals the opposite, which is 14, over x. All right, to solve it, what we're going to do is we're going to swap the x and the tangent, because it needs to be x equals. So x equals 14 divided by tangent of 30 degrees. All right, take good notes again. All right, so here we go. So we're going to take the 14 divided by tangents right here, tangent of 30 degrees. So our answer is 24.25. Okay, the next one. Here's our angle. This is the hypotenuse. This is the opposite. Well, opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So it's going to be sine of 65 degrees equals 20 over x. Again, opposite over hypotenuse. All right, again, we don't want the x in the denominator, so we're going to switch. So x equals 20 divided by sine of 65 degrees. Type it in, 20 divided by sine 65 degrees. 22.07. All right. Now the next two, I'm not going to show the calculator. I'm just going to go right to the answer. Okay, but first we got to set it up. So the next one. So this, again, this is a hypotenuse. This is adjacent to this angle. So that would be cosine. So cosine of 25 degrees equals 28 over x. X equals 28 divided by cosine 25 degrees. All right, type that into your calculator and you are going to get 30.89. Again, don't forget there's a calculator to practice with on the website, linked to Moodle if you do not have your own calculator. All right, number 4. All right, again, this is the hypotenuse. This is opposite. All right, so that would be, let's see, that would be sine again. So sine 58 degrees equals the opposite, over the hypotenuse. Switch. Type that in and you get 51.88. Okay, and last, probably the easiest one on the whole test. Find f of 3. So that simply means plug the 3 into x. So please use parentheses. 3 squared minus 5 times 3 plus 14. Type that into the calculator and you end up getting 8. All right, again, take good notes. Chances are very, 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 very good that you will get to use the study guide while you are taking the test. See you later. Good luck.